Okay. Ah, shit. Okay. That's why I had to change my microphone. Okay. All right. Okay. Like, damn, what the fuck? Um, this is also a test, but this is some random topics I wanted to talk about really quick. I've been seeing a lot of fuck shit going down on YouTube. And I first want to talk about what I've seen in the quote unquote Goldensphere. I do want to discuss more of that with the homie um, Miss Elite. And I do want to also discuss this Nicki Minaj, Kevin Samuels situation, even though it's already been discussed. I'm glad Nicki said what she said when he was on her IG Live. Um, a lot of black men have hope and they praise and they love them some Kevin Samuels. But the reality of it is that his message is bullshit most of the time. I think he plays a lot of word games and mind games on people, well, women in particularly. Um, like he said on her live, Nicki Minaj's IG live, that 85% of black men are married to black women, when the single mother rate in the black community or communities is around 70%. No, it's over 70% total so far that we know of. So I'm really curious as to where he even got that number from. But I'm glad Nikki saw through his bullshit. Most definitely, his message is just regurgitated what a lot of black male dating coaches have been saying online for years now. I mean, really. What up, AMR? Good to see you. Hey, Key, sis. This isn't going to be long. I just wanted to. This past week, like, outside of that sector bullshit, has been interesting. Um, you got Lashid for you checking some folks in the Goldensphere, aka the biracial, light skinned sector, if you want to call it that. Um, you got this whole thing with Kevin Samuels uh, going on Nicki Minaj IG live, which I don't think he was invited. I don't think, but he's been trying his best to go mainstream. Um, yeah, it's good to see you, AMR. I hope everything is well. I don't know if we talked since New Year's. I don't think we did, but happy 2022 to you. I hope everything is good. Um, so yeah, those are just some things I wanted to discuss. Um, Oh, you are. You're a part of the Goldensphere. How so? I didn't know that. Mine. How long you been a part of the Goldensphere, and do you make content over there? Because that I didn't know. Because I wouldn't say I got smoke or a unnecessary problem with the Golden Sphere. I just, of course, disagree with some of the things I've heard some folks over there say. I'm not too familiar with everybody over there, but I've seen enough. Um, one, I don't. For one, I don't understand why light skins align themselves with biracials. I guess it was due to colorism. You know, they call dark skinned women colorism crybabies and shit. And the golden sphere is the biracial slash light skinned sphere sector, if you will. And a lot of them they come together. I guess their main goal is to combat that colorism uh, topic, if you will. Like they don't think colorism is real, or that a lot of dark skinned black women use it to cry and complain because they're jealous or hateful of biracial and light skinned women. You know, because according to one of the, one of the, I wouldn't call her a leader, but one of them that's real popular over there said that colorism is a dark skinned um, woman talking point. Um, they feel that they have been bullied, they feel that they have been mistreated, and it feels that their targets are mainly dark skinned black women. Any any black woman that ain't light skinned, basically, or any biracial that doesn't consider herself black. Any biracial that considers herself black. Um, it's really anti-black at its core, period. But you can adjust that. Well, why don't you? You want the link? If you want, yeah, I'll drop the link because I need some clarification on this. I mean, I don't know if every right. A lot of light skinned folk, well, women, and well, yeah, light skinned men and women. I don't know if all of them are necessarily biracial, but let me drop this link. A lot of them have, they really cannot stand when you talk about colorism, and they get mad almost. Well, not almost. They do get mad. I know recently one of them over there attacked Lashid for you. Then they had one. She attacked her and then played victim. From what I understand. So yeah, let me drop this link because I need some clarity on this. Yeah, but from what I gather from it, a lot of it is just anti-black at its core. Um, but I dropped the link and we'll let Aaron come on. I can't stand Lashee. Why, Key? I disagree with some of her pro-black talking points and how but I don't dislike her. Mm. Mm. Yeah, another way to separate us from. That's how I feel. I feel it's kind of like with the house Negro and the field Negro. Like you know what I mean? Like oh, here's Aaron. They that separation book. No, here's Key and here's Aaron. Hey y'all.
Hey, yo, what's going on? It's been a long time.
Hello,
Oh,
darlings. It's good to see you, especially you,
Uh,
Earl. It's good to see
right.
you.
Yeah, good to
I,
see you.
yes, I missed you all. It's just easier than typing. I cracked the screen protector
Okay.
on my iPad. Wait a minute. Let me pull up your chat just so I can see. So I'm a mute because I haven't muted this device.
Okay. Well, Aaron, I would like your while Key is muted, I would like to hear your explanation on the whole golden sphere thing.
Well, the goat. Well, perhaps maybe. Well, again, like yes, I'm a part of it, but the thing about it is that again, a lot of people all again, and been having this misconception that the golden sphere is this and that, when that's necessarily far from it. And yes, I mean the golden sphere. Depending on the situations, hey, sure, it's not perfect, but we have plenty, again, and again, it's to think that it's just a, I mean, it's a space for, again, like, hell, we got people from different, aspects, from the lightest to the darkest people you can find, which, which, hey, I'm like, yeah, so people can be dark or whatever, and consider themselves and still be biracial. Hell, I even met a dude who happens to be Southeast Asian, and yeah, Southeast Asian, and he has a black mom, and that unique pairing is just something out of this world.
But you know that's not unique, right? It's only
Right?
unique from your perspective, which would
Well,
be
again,
Northwest United States.
well, yeah, true. And
That's not
again,
a
it's like,
unique pairing
why you say it's not a
and
unique pairing?
because this is what burns me up about groups like this. They only look at it from their small regional perspective as opposed to looking at it from a worldwide perspective and a diaspora as a whole.
Hmm.
They just look at it from just their little point of view. Like, let me ask you, Aaron, what is the closest white relative you have?
The closest white relative.
Blood relative that would have given your DNA. So, like, is it a parent, a grandparent, a great grandparent? Like, do you know your percentage?
No, I haven't done the DNA
You shouldn't have to
ancestry.
be able to do a DNA. You should know. Like, you're lighter than me, but I know my percentage. You know how I know my percentage? Because my maternal grandfather was half, which makes my mother a quarter, which makes me an eighth. You see?
Okay.
But I'm
Okay.
darker than you.
Yeah.
See, that's what gets me about and I know I'm Scottish because my natural hair color is red. My grandfather could have passed if he wanted to, as a
Right.
white, red, as a ginger, if he wanted to. But he always said
Hey,
the
hey,
blacker
hey,
the
hey,
bird, the sweeter
hey,
the juice.
key day, man. Can I also make this point though? Again, yeah, we all go way back, and you've known me long
No,
enough
I'm
as
just
well as
asking.
yeah, as long as I've been, yeah. Again, well, technically, hell, yes, again, like, hell, on my mom's side, yeah, she's Creole, of course,
Okay,
and
so there it
and my,
is. All right.
yeah, and my and my grandparents and great grandparents, hell, one of them happened to be um, a European happened to be from Spain.
Mm-hmm.
One happened to be from Spain, and another grandparent happened to be Native American.
Mm-hmm.
And you know me, again, I've never came with the, me with the colorist, again, I'm not a colorist, nor have I ever been.
Mhm.
So it's like, again, like even for me, it's like, again, like when I sort of go into like, again, like certain spaces, it's like again, it's like, it's again, I don't feel like, again, it's like, well, hey, I mean, hey, with all due respect to these certain spaces are not necessarily meant for me.
Mhm. But I don't know how much I do believe I'm the oldest on the panel, but I don't
Yeah.
know how much older I am to you. But this is the thing that gets me, right? My mama is like, she's like really golden, okay? She's not the goldenest of my grandparents' children, but she's like, I say, they all around the same complexion, but she like maybe slightly, just a touch, darker than the lightest, okay? And here I am, I'm this little, I like to call myself Carmel. I'm like mid, okay? And I was having a hard time because growing up, a lot of the dudes wanted the pretty light skinned girls or the white girls. Okay. What was considered attractive was the light skinned uh, black dudes. Okay. And this is me talking to you growing up from an original colony, meaning that
Okay.
you know the first 13, okay, and a slave owning state, okay, with racists and KKK still active to this day, okay, in it. And I asked her, I said, why am I so much darker than you? And I felt like I was cursed in a certain type of way. Um, and she was like, why? She was like, black comes in the entire rainbow, meaning that there was no difference between her complexion and my complexion. It was the value of me as a person that counted, and that I should value other people that way. I think groups like the Golden Sphere or like Rashida Strober, and I'm gonna answer your question about Rashid in a minute. Um,
Okay.
uh, Create more separatism between the diaspora when we really need to be joining together to unite as opposed to still striking out at each other. A lot of this is left over from a slave mentality or a colonizer's mentality that was basically beat into you. I mean, think about it. If you dark, you worked in the field. If you light skinned, you worked in the house. Was the struggle the same? Basically, you both getting raped, you both getting beat, you both getting dehumanized. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand, I do understand it because the standard of beauty for the longest time has been blonde and blue eyed, right? And that's what the closest in black people are the mulattoes or the blonde, excuse me, the mulattoes or the light skins, because that denotes you must have some white in your family. And you cannot have that close of a relationship of white in your family for light skin and blue eyes to pop up. Blue eyes is and blonde hair is a recessive gene. So you could have had the slave owner who raped your grandmama or your great 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 was by now it would be like my grandma was born in 21. So if we take it back, her great grandmother would have been a slave. So you thinking my grandmother's great grandmother generation, right? The last group of slaves before the Emancipation Proclamation, okay? So you thinking that far back, and then you're looking at your child and you're wondering why you have a child that's light skinned with blue eyes, that gene can pop up. So I just don't. I just don't get it. Like, it's the same complaint from both sides, and it's all based on perception, where you are, how you were raised, and what you consider uh, to be beautiful. That's all it dwells down to. I have I asked my biracial niece. I'm like, what do you consider yourself? Do you consider? And I asked her this when she was like maybe 7 or 8, when she could comprehend what I was asking. I asked her because I've heard this argument before about whether if you're mixed, you have a right to claim black or the other one, or whether or not you just claim I'm mixed. And I asked her because I didn't want an adult's point of view that had been tainted over time. I want an innocent point of view. I said, do you consider yourself black or white? And she looked at me quizzically, like, what kind of question is that? And I said, well, you can't give me a wrong answer. I just want your opinion. She said, I'm both, and yet I'm neither. I'm me. So that's the next generation. I think it's our generation and those before us that are still stuck in somewhat of a slave mindset to attack one another, as opposed to uphold and see the beauty in all
Right. I
of
think that's
us as a people.
right.
Why
Um
do we have to identify? Oh, and real quick, so you can get back to your show. I'm taking over. Um, why I don't like Lashid for you? She's a Bible beater, number one. Okay, I just don't like that. Okay,
a lot
and
of theaters.
she's a forcibly Bible beater. Okay, number two, I don't care for her opinions on black people or white people or people in general, the different ethnicities. I find her to be abrasive, even though she's nicely abrasive about it. I think she's more of a problem with what's going on with the community than an aid. Like, she can complain about Tommy Sotomayor's and all that type of people all she wants, but she doesn't realize she's part of that group. She's just on the other side of the fence.
Mm,
So that was real quick on that.
okay.
Okay, so I'll mute up so y'all can talk and I'll listen.
All right.
Okay.
Okay.
I appreciate your again. I do appreciate the do appreciate what you where you're coming from though. I really do.
Right. So my question to you, Aaron, is why did you join the Golden Sphere?
Ah, well, well, it was never really no hate type basis, standpoint. I saw it as, again, like in hell, this is sort of even going back to, again, where again, even being part of the, again, like sort of the sewage, it was me, I was, young and necessarily didn't understand, I mean, it's like for me it was, I mean, yeah, it's like I didn't know. It's like there were times where it's like I just didn't know, where exactly I belong, you know.
So okay, you didn't know where you belong, but you felt like you wanted to. Like, what was you felt you joined because you felt you didn't know where you wanted to, where you belonged, and you felt like the Golden Sphere was where you should be.
Well, you know what? Well, here's the thing, and I'm again, here's another confession too. There was a point in time to where I don't want to say it was a manosphere, you know, back then it was called something else where I was going through these certain progressions to where it's like you got the sewage, and then you got the men's talking point, and then even sort of the men's talking points was just, eh, okay, I gotta. It's just like, okay, it's like you touch on men's subjects, but then there's just certain things within the men's movements. It just started to get, kind of divisive, and so I had to leave. And then even with the Goldensphere, it's like, well, even when I checked that out, um, I saw it as, saw it as something that, again, it was like, hey, y'all have some, again, it's like, yeah, I really do like this movement. Again, like, again, and again, yeah, there were certain words that were used where it's like, like some of the stuff that was saying is like, well, I get the feeling, but I never used these words before. Even though other people may have done these things, such as like a gaslighting or policing someone's identity, I've never done that. And I still don't do it.
Right. Okay. Well, I guess what I'm saying is, when you checked it out and whoever it was, whatever they were talking about, you felt that it was relative to you. Like, say, as a light skinned, well, I don't know if you consider yourself mixed or not, but as a light skinned black man, did you feel that whatever they were talking about was, did it resonate with you? Was it relevant to you?
Yes.
And how just one example. Like, I'm not trying to like judge you or nothing like that. I just wanted to know your perspective on it.
Well, okay, like the way for me it was like when I first heard about it, and there was a panel that I hopped on, and I was explaining some of my experiences and what I went through growing up, and how and even still in my adult, stages, I still somewhat will still kind of go through this, but it's just not necessarily as not again, it's like like real life experience, can definitely enhance, again, some an experience, especially off the, especially on the computer. Like, because, again, like in your real life, you're dealing with certain things, like, like certain talking points, certain stories. It's like, okay, well, hell, like I go somewhere and there's always gonna be somebody testing you or trying to, to like to see what you made out of, to see if you really a punk like that, I guess. And you think that, hell, like, well, men in general, whether they be black, whether they be white, whether they be um, Hispanic, Asian, or what have you, but still going to be facing some form of being targeted and bullied, regardless. And
So,
then
oh, no, go
but
ahead.
go oh, and then again, it's like where me, and again, and I spoke for me, hell, with me growing up, it's like because I've lived in many different places, again, again, my dad being in the military for over 30 years. I didn't necessarily have a easy break. I
So,
didn't have that, but go ahead.
oh no, I thought you were done because you have long pauses. But okay. So, you felt like basically you felt like you were bullied because you were light skinned.
Yes.
Okay. And so when you joined the Golden Sphere, you felt like it was uh, um like a safe space for light skinned people and biracials to express traumas and grievances and what they had to go through, being of a lighter complexion.
Yes.
Okay. So I guess my next question would be, do you feel that, well, I got two questions. Do you feel like colorism exists? And if so, does it bother you when a darker skinned person talks about it because you're light skinned and you got bullied, and do you feel like colorism, because of your experience as a light skinned person, do you feel like colorism, does it exist, and does it bother you when more darker skinned people talk about it, and you feel like lighter skinned people, you feel like they feel that lighter skinned people don't get bullied because of their skin complexion?
Hmm. Well, the first question about the colorism, do I think that it exists? Yes, in some ways, because but also another thing is that when people, again, even when colorism is discussed, you do have those to where you do have to be careful with, again, like the with their explanations, like how it'll be so quick for somebody to talk about racism, because we already know racism is a very difficult or touchy subject to talk about, especially when you don't know what you're talking about.
Mm.
So I'm definitely aware of that. And does it, and again, and when colorism, does it upset me or, well, I don't want to say necessarily upset me, but there are some things that irritate me to where it's like, okay, well, because it seems as though that even when colorism is discussed, if you're going to have a serious topic or a conversation, at least let it be in its proper context so problems can be solved instead of it just being to where it's being used as an excuse.
Mm.
And also people, and I've now written again, and I've done my research sort of behind the scenes for a while, and there are people who are getting paid by making colorism content. I can say these people's names, but I don't know if that'll be the proper time to do so.
No, you can say names if you want.
And I agree with you because they're getting paid to make racist content too.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah,
agree with you
like
with
your
that.
like
Mhm.
your like your Chrissies of the world and your Elohos and what's that other girl? Oh, there's so many. Like I don't want to say she's a colorist. She's more of a interracial, mix. Hell, maybe even Crystal Cares. I don't think she does colorism topics though, but she's more of a black women dating and marrying white men. It's like, hey, which is fine. It's like, hey,
But you can't leave her out because
because
they together would create mulattoes.
exactly they do.
Okay.
But
So
but
you feel like, I mean, you could finish, but I got another question. Do you feel like people shouldn't cry or complain about colorism? They should try to educate and therefore come up with some type of solution to it, or what? What do you think about it when you get irritated by the topic, however they're explaining it? Um, what comes to mind? You want them to come up with solutions, or what?
yeah. Oh, absolutely. When it comes to, again, like colorisms, that part, but then, again, like, but for the other part, if it's going to be explained to where it's, being used as an excuse to where, you just choose not to do anything, instead you just want to sit and mope and cry about it and then blame somebody else, for what for your
Mhm.
shortcomings, and it's just like, hey, that has nothing. Hell, it has nothing to do with me. It has nothing to do with this person or that person, so and so. It's like, again, it's like, oh well, like for an example, like it's like, oh, all these men, well, all these black men like white women, or all these, so and so this. It's like, okay, well, again, hey, it may hurt your feelings. Maybe you are coming from a place of hurt because you feel like you may not stand a chance. Can't say that again. I can't necessarily blame you, again, for feeling that way. But there are times where, again, you are going to have to stand out and separate yourselves from the pack and
Okay.
separate. Oh, go
So
ahead.
okay. So I kind of understand what you're saying. So um. Okay. How can I ask this question? So you feel like black women who complain about colorism or whatever, or whoever, right? You feel not only should they come up with a solution, but you feel that light skin and biracials shouldn't be blamed um, because of colorism.
Huh. Well, you know what? Again, for me, and I had to, again, either sort of do a self, what do you call it? I
Self
guess ask,
reflection.
yeah, self reflection and ask even some questions on my own. And I'm in the tip. It's like, you know what? Hey, look, first, like, again, like when we get accused, or if a light skinned or mixed biracial person or MGM, what have you, gets blamed for something that's not their fault, I'm like, hey, on that tip, yes, I'm all about for people's rights because I respect your rights and they shouldn't be violated, especially if it's not your fault. And uh I say that for, again, for both, either dark skinned black men and dark skinned black women. I'm all about your rights being, respected and not violated. And now for the color, again, for in regards to the colorism thing, um, again, I'm not necessarily a judge for anybody's behavior, unless if you put it out there like that to be judged. Again, again, it's like, I'm like, again, it's like I'll never, get like really come at you in a judgmental standpoint, you know,
Mhm.
in a sense of, just, again, like base how you look, or, based on how you look and stuff like that. Like, nah,
Um.
I'm all about, again, your character
Yeah.
being more of a, yeah, your character being more in question than your appearance. But when people do complain, about, why things ain't happening to them, I mean, yeah, of course, again, yeah, of course you'll get those type of people that'll, yeah, use the colorism argument, but not necessarily, again, like really do some deep soul searching.
Uh. Okay. Um.
May
All
I
right.
interject?
You got something you want to say, Key?
Yeah, I want to know what's what's the goal? Because this is the first time I've heard of it. What is the Golden Sphere's take on countries like the Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico? Well, Puerto Rico is in the U.S., but it's a territory. Puerto Rico, who share an island, but the Dominicans, number one, look down on the Puerto Ricans. And even if they cross the border and they not out by a certain time, will get beat and thrown out if they cross over for work every day. And Dominican Republic is notoriously known to look down on the dark skinned blacks there. Like the natives, the black natives, because of course it was those two countries before they were colonized, um, were black. So if you're of a darker skin, you look down in both countries, right? You don't even want to say you're black. You'll say I'm Puerto Rican or I'm Dominican before you'll say I'm black. But you're my complexion. You're obviously part of the diaspora. But the Dominican Republic makes it very well known that if you are not fair skinned black or fair skinned period, they are, I don't want to call it, they're very colorist. That's the word, the country as a whole. So, what
Right.
would be the Golden Sphere's take on countries like that where they can't say, they just can't admit that they black? Like, it's to the point where instead of saying I'm black or I'm this, they go with the nationality, although obviously your ancestors, and they even do it in the states. If they were born in the states, before they say I'm black, they'll say I'm Puerto Rican or I'm Dominican. But both your parents black, and then they'll say things like, "But I have blacks in my family." Well, what color are your parents? My parents are black, but I'm Dominican or I'm Puerto Rican. That makes no sense to me. That so what is
What?
the?
Well, you
I guess
okay? So
that's
you
my
want me to speak
question.
on that as a whole or an individual?
Both, if you want. I would like to know because I'm trying to learn about the Golden Sphere.
Okay.
So
Well. Well.
so
Okay.
I want
Go ahead.
their take, the group's take that you understand it to be, and then your personal take if you don't mind.
Okay. Well, from my understanding, what again, what they would probably say is that, again, like again, the Dominican Republic, because there was a girl who did happen to have her sister on, and she was telling her story about how when she went down there, how they looked at her and thought she was one of them. She thought, they actually thought that she was actually a native, even though she's mixed herself, black and white. Now, I'm not sure, again, what her Spanish game is like. That I don't know. But hell, even for someone like me, hell, if I were to go down there, I would be recognized probably as one of the natives because hell, even, again, I'm in the US and I couldn't tell you, how many times people have gotten my last name wrong or tried to speak to me in another language. And it's like, I don't I don't speak that language. No disrespect or no offense. But for me, yes, again, and I'm pretty sure not too many people don't know this, but the Dominican Republic was, again, was a colony. Yeah, well, technically is a British colony. Not too many people know that though. And so yes, and yeah, and again, and I've seen the experiences for myself that what you've experienced about how, you'll have these, darker hue Dominicans that will be black in color phenotype, but would say, no, I'm not, oh no, I'm not black, I'm Dominican. But yeah, it's like, yeah, but you're it's like your phenotype, but you love, but hey, either you can love or hate black people. It's like, again, it's like, we're judging. It's like, for me, I'm like, hey, me as an American, it's like, we talk about, again, the one drop rule a lot, but it's like, hell, we're not the only ones that have a one drop rule. We're not. And even and again in Puerto Rico, yes, despite it being U.S. territory, because hell, I have Puerto Rican friends. Hell, my sister has Puerto Rican friends, and we treat them as family, regardless. And and the thing is that I do kind of find that again for me that it's like the difference is that you guys both speak Spanish, but y'all just don't get along. And you would think that there would be some form of Latin unity like that, based off that alone, but I take it that it's not. But it wouldn't be a whole lot of effort to do so. Because hell, like Latin America, especially from me in the Goldensphere perspective, it's just too abroad. Too abroad. Hell, some people can say that, for the African continent, that is sort of abroad, but not necessarily that much of abroad.
Okay. You feel that he answered your question, Key? Before I ask
Agreed,
him.
because there are several other countries. You have some. Excuse me, I'm eating nice. Y'all know me, I'm not nice.
It's all good.
You have some countries like on the African continent that still operate that way. India, for sure, operates that way. The fairer you are, the better off you are in society, and the better chances you have to have a good life. Um, and they'll be quick to say I'm Asian or I'm South. I'm Asian, but you're darker than I am. So you're part of the colonizers movement from Europe too. It just seems like to me the diaspora has a total identity crisis that's going on and has been going on for centuries. All because of we were told what was beautiful.
I
When
agree.
we did accept our beauty, they stole it and took it and made it their own. Take Egypt, for example. All your great philosophers, Aristotle, many more your Greeks, your Romans, all of them from around the Med, flocked to Egypt for education.
Mm-hmm.
Yet is Egypt given the credit for actually not only inspiring but educating the world?
Right.
That's what they did. They
So
educated.
you feel that racism played a part in that?
Of course.
Right.
Because you gotta think back then there really wasn't too much racism. Because Cleopatra had her way. She was very beautiful, they said, but when you see depictions of her on coins that they have found, she had very black features. She was a black woman. She did not look like Elizabeth Taylor at all. She looked closer to me than Elizabeth Taylor. Um, and there was like a lot of uh, mixing going on. It wasn't so much based on your skin tone back then. It was more based on your tribe. Excuse me, your tribal, your people.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
and I think, and then again, and I'm glad you also said that too, because we talked about, again, like this, again, like not just the colorism thing, but the tribalism and how it's practiced so rampantly. And And it's like, and even with, again, even, going with the racism, hell, I even found out, hell, basically people who started racism or color prejudice was some Euro Asians.
Right. And
So,
another thing, sorry.
and so Hitler, so it wasn't Hitler that started it. It's like, nah, some Euro Asians in that border region between Afghanistan and Iran. They called themselves the Aryans, yeah, the Aryan people, but Hitler took the name
Mm,
based off of that movement.
okay.
But even
Yeah,
before him, if you think about it, even before him, if we go back as far as let's just go back to the formation of uh, the Americas as far as the 13 colonies, Canada, Mexico, Latin America, that area. Okay, because I don't want to make it too broad. But if we go back that far, what they did was they took a whole bunch of people from different tribes, threw them together, and then created separation based on fairness, meaning of the skin, melanin of the skin to make it worse. Um, all they did was take the tribal, uh, what is it? It begins with a O. The tribal, Lord have mercy, what is the word? I hate when I can't think. But y'all understand what I'm saying. The disagreements between the tribes and made it worse by adding in colorism. I think if we as a people just decided, especially in the United States, okay, we came from separate tribes. So we have to now know that we are now a tribe unto ourselves. So let's fix this tribe right here. And then maybe we can join with the tribe that's in Canada. Fix the relations between these two tribes. Then we can go to Latin America and start working on those tribes. And then slowly but surely, we'll be one tribe again, if that makes sense. If that makes sense.
no, no, oh yeah, yeah. I'm getting, yeah, I'm digging what you're saying.
Because that's the root of the problem. They took many, I don't want to go past the colonization because that make it too broad a spectrum. You had to
Yeah,
separate those into like different conversations. But if we just look at this little area right here, just this group of people, and what a lot of people don't understand is they only look at the slave trafficking from one point of view. They only look at it from what happened to the Americas and Latin America. Well, I'm just gonna say Americas in general. The Americas that includes South America, North America, and Latin America. Okay, what happened to the Americas, right? But they think that they just went in and grabbed it. Well, what does the tribes and the people left in Africa say about the slave? Goodbye, Siri. I'm not talking to you. Every time I'm talking about some juicy stuff, it picks up. It does. But so I did my research, and I'm friends with a Nigerian princess by blood. Okay, and I asked her because I really wanted to know what they were taught about the America's slave trade because they want us back now. Like Ghana basically says, come back for free. We'll give you a passport, a stipend. We want you back. Nigeria says, we'll cut the price in half for you if you come from the Americas and you want to come back. Liberia, not Libya, but Liberia is actually a country that a white man in the States, after the Emancipation Proclamation, actually paid for that land and got ships for any slaves that wanted to return. So that country is basically American slaves built that country. and we could always go back there for free. Okay, to this day. So those are three countries that I know off the top of my head that wants us back and wants to incorporate us back where we belong. So I wanted to know why. Well, I knew why Libya. I mean, Libya. You know which one I'm talking about. Liberia.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, Liberia.
Hmm.
Liberia. I knew why Liberia because that's the word for liberty. I knew why Liberia wanted us back. I've known that since a child. But I want to know why Ghana and Nigeria was making such a push to bring us back. And come find out now, watch this here. The first of us taken actually was taken from Ghana.
Yeah,
Um,
you know what? I do remember hearing something about hell. Even
yeah,
Ghana
we were taken
jumped
from
on the
Ghana.
whole. Yeah,
Hmm.
how Ghana was even wanting to, again, like, hey, was giving, African Americans, or Black Americans, again, a place. Hey, y'all can come back. Hey, we can come back home if you want.
Yeah, they still doing
Yeah,
it for free and give you a
yeah,
stipend, and it's a beautiful country. Okay,
right.
but this is before they were a country, so I wanted to know what were they taught happened with the American slave trade. And I'm getting this from a Nigerian princess that I'm friends with today. Okay. Um, and my understanding is because of course she's gonna have the royal information. With she's gonna be taught about, the royal information. At that time they weren't formerly countries. They were just tribes. So people started going missing in Ghana. Like
Hmm.
they would come in, the missionaries, would come in and under the guise of, bringing Christianity or whatever to Muslim countries or whatever. And uh, we would disappear. So Ghana actually sent word to Nigeria because they border.
Yeah.
And she's Igbo. And that's the tribe that borders Ghana. Okay? So they sent word to Igbo and said, look out for your people. These missionaries are coming in and we are disappearing. So those are the two countries and the first two countries and the first two tribes to actually start taking us. And then of course it headed west because I guess it was easier to, you know, go west if you move in west, if you moving us west. But yeah, so those two countries, that's why I say I think they really want us back. And it's not just for economic reasons, because really Ghana is a beautiful country and it's very affordable to live in. And not Libya, Liberia, I haven't checked on them lately, but I do know we could always go back there for free. Always. But the problem there, I think, was like civil war or something at one point in time. I haven't checked on it. But yeah, Ghana is gorgeous. It's up and coming. You can get a passport. You can get a home. You can grow there. You start a business there. You take 24K and you a millionaire. 25, 30K, you a millionaire in Ghana. That's good seed money to start off if you do want to go back, to what is considered the motherland. And I say considered because I think that has something to do with your soul too. Because although I enjoy the motherland, I'm not necessarily pulled that direction. I'm pulled to Jamaica. But when I went to Jamaica, you can see where it broke off from Africa. And that is no joke. You can see parts of it where the natural landscape of it looks exactly like Africa. Because I was on the Caribbean seaside. And let me tell you, I was shocked when I saw the landscape, the natural landscape of the coast. Like it was like a puzzle piece. I can fit you in right here. But yeah, so I don't
Okay.
want to take over. I feel like I'm taking over. Some of you don't. This
That's
is
all
a good
right.
discussion. I like it.
Yeah. No, 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 definitely it is. Um, so I wanted to ask Aaron, um, okay. So after you figured out um that you decided you wanted to be in a part of the golden sphere. Um, so basically, it's a space for light skinned and biracial people to express, what their grievances or whatever they go through as light skinned and biracials. But my question is this: there are dark skinned, and I know it's gonna sound like, oh, you're trying to incorporate dark skin and everything, but no, I'm not really. There are dark skinned biracials. Um, but I don't see them in the golden sphere. I don't see them um on panels or making videos saying that they're a part of the golden sphere. So is golden sphere just specifically for light skinned and biracial people, or is it for light skinned and biracial people of a lighter shade, or is it for all biracials?
No, it's basically yeah, it's practically, again, for all. And
Mm,
and another thing is that, what, hell, we even got and believe it or not, hell, there's like, like two dark dudes from the UK or what have you, or one may say that he's from Uganda, but it's like, all right, well, it's like, for some reason, it's like, okay, well, you may not be part of it, but for some reason you'll still watch some Golden Sphere content though. Maybe you find it interesting. But yes, you but yeah though, you do have, again, like dark by yeah, dark skinned biracials. Now for some I can understand because that's not that common, but it does exist. And that's what even I myself, again, in the teenage, state of mind that I had, a long time ago, way even before it became a thing. And there's just like, and again, and to say that, go, oh, all they do is just, it's like one of those, another thing of white supremacy. It's like, no, it's nothing like that. Far from it.
right, but my question is, why isn't there? Well, I don't. I've only known of its existence for maybe about a little over a year or whatever. But I'm saying, is there any particular reason why there's only light skin and light complexion biracials and not any dark biracials? Is there any particular reason? I'm not talking about like dark skin black people. I mean, a person of a darker complexion, but they're biracial.
But
They're both
yeah,
their parents are of different races. I don't see them in the golden sphere, and their skin color technically wouldn't be considered golden anyway. But I'm just saying, is there any reason why there aren't any dark skinned biracials over there?
um, not that I can think of. And truth be told, they'd be more than welcome to. They will be more than, hey, they'll be more than welcome to come along as well, again. But it's like, because again, like because the common, I would say common, but the most, well, sort of the most known would be, again, either my phenotype or a phenotype of let's say, Alicia Keys or what have you. And
Right.
that's where And that's where, again, it's like, hey, and again, I myself don't necessarily have the perfect answer for, or the right answer for that.
Yeah,
But
there's no
but
such
they
thing as
go
a
by,
right answer.
but they go by, but they go by a different name though for some reason, and I don't know why. They would be called what you would call exoticals, like your
Okay.
Tatiana Ali. Yeah, like your Tatiana Ali's. She is what you would call an exotical, or even Chili from TLC. Believe it or not, she would be called, so sort of an exotic.
And why is that? Why would they be called exoticals? Because I've heard of that too as well.
Yeah.
I mean, like, why?
Yeah.
Why would they? Like, you think they're called exoticals because they don't have certain they have certain phenotypes that are not attributed usually to black folks?
Hmm. Ah, well, I never really thought about it. Never really thought about it that way. I never really did.
Because
And it's, but go ahead.
real quick, because when people say an exotical and they describe what a quote unquote exotical is, it usually is someone that possesses a feature that's not common in black folk, like, let's say, light hazel eyes or green eyes, or curly hair, not 4C, but curly hair, loose curly hair, uh, a lighter skin tone, um, or some particular feature that you wouldn't see on black folk typically, or they look mixed for some reason, and they may not be directly mixed, like they may not have two parents of different races, but maybe they got a grandmother or grandfather that was something else. You know what I mean? Like, it's always, an exotical is someone that looks, or typically is, someone of that has non-African, typical non-African features. Usually, what I see in an exotical,
Hmm.
even if they are dark, it's usually something about them that's not common on a typical black person.
No, and again, and I never really thought it like that. But again, but to answer that, yeah.
Mm.
And again, and again, and it's nobody's fault, by the way, because of this, none whatsoever.
No, 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 no.
Um,
I'm not blaming it. Like, I don't have anything against biracials or
yeah.
exoticals personally. I have something against the mindset of a person, regardless if they're biracial, black, or whoever, that worships features and complexions um, based off of someone like who uplifts features, basically, to say that a biracial or an exotical is better because they have some sort of non-black ancestry. You know what I mean? Like, I understand, okay, Indians, even white people, of course they uplift their own or whatever. But speaking in particularly about people who have self-hate problems, um, that's the problem that I have. Because what seems to me with the Goldensphere, or whatever they want to call themselves, I don't have an issue with them, but it does seem, the ones that I've seen that are a part of these sectors, they seem to have anti-black message, and more particularly anti-black women, um, which is basically what Cynthia G talks about, that biracials with non-black mothers do not like black women, and they get very upset when black women discuss black men, as if black women don't date, marry, or have children by black men, or don't have black fathers.
Thank you, because
And
I was getting ready to ask that question.
and that's my issue with what I've
Excuse
seen in the golden sphere. I don't hate biracials. I don't hate them. I don't kiss their ass. Like, I don't uplift them and put them above anybody because they're quote unquote exotic, or because they have non-black ancestry, that they're beautiful than average, quote unquote average black people, or anything like that. I just don't like the anti-black woman mentality that they seem to have. But other than that, I don't care if they want to have a sector where they can express themselves being bullied, um, because they are light skinned, or they're not considered black enough. That's fine. When I whenever I hear the topic of colorism, or whenever I talk about it, I don't think that light skins or biracials don't get bullied, because growing up in school and everything, I've seen it. So I never thought they got bullied. Um, Although I will admit I never seen any get bullied because of their skin tone, but I have seen some get bullied for
may I
other
ask?
reasons. But my point is this: I don't think that they don't have any difficulties in life. But colorism, and the standard of beauty when it comes to black people, that does exist, and the standard of beauty for black people is someone who usually is exotical or biracial, or just straight up not black. And that, talking about it, I basically base it off of my understanding of black people having self-hate problems. What How we think about ourselves, how we see ourselves as black people. I never thought that it was hatred or jealousy, or resentment towards light skin or biracials. I never thought that, and I still don't think that. Even though some dark skinned black people do have all those things towards light skins and biracials, the discussion itself, I never thought that it meant that we should be at odds with them. I never thought that. I basically um, think that black people need to keep having discussions, as long as we're coming up with solutions to the deep rooted self hate issues that we have as a whole. But no, I don't think it's based off of hating light skinned or biracial people.
I, I I have a question. I would love to know, in the Golden Sphere, the breakdown of black mothers versus non-black mothers, because I tend to find the biracials with a black parent identify or have a better understanding of black history, people, and just traditions than those raised by a non-black mother. Like,
You know
and the
what, Key?
breakdown of black fathers versus non-black fathers, because those with black fathers tend to have, I found in my, this is my personal perception, they tend to have more issues with black people when the father is black.
Right. I'm subscribed to a guy who, I'll put his link in the chat. He's gonna have a discussion on that. He has a black mom and a white dad, and he discusses biracials in the golden sphere and all that all the time. And I think, from what I understood last night, he's gonna have a discussion on that. So I'll link his channel
Okay.
in the chat, and y'all, if y'all want to, can go subscribe to him. His name is Bluish Gelato, and he often talks about that type of stuff, and I think he's going to do a live stream about that.
Sure. Please send me that link. I appreciate
Yes, and
it. And
to
you
what real
too,
quick, and
Ernest.
then
Send
y'all
me
could
some
go
people
ahead.
you think I should check out for a better understanding.
Okay. And then y'all could go ahead. Virgo Life said dark skinned people promote colorism. A lot of them do, and that's another problem that I was going to discuss with Key and AMR. I was going to ask, do y'all think dark skins or biracial / light skinned blacks promote colorism more than dark skinned black people? And then after y'all answer, then I'll give my own answer.
I think they go hand in hand.
Mm,
I think there's no one to be blamed because all do it.
okay. What about you,
It's
AMR?
just
Oh, I thought you was finished. Never mind.
sorry. It's just perspective because of the skin that you're in.
Mhm.
So I'm done. Go ahead, Aaron.
No, okay. Well, you have okay. Well, for me, it's like you have what is called a LS savior, and then you have those called yeah the of course the colorism crybabies. And again, I may be offensive to some, but who I think which one I believe like again like promotes it more. Um, hmm. So hell, I may have to get side with Key on that tip because yeah, it can go either way.
Mm.
Like I said, and again, and even the so-called and again, even the so-called light-skinned saviors, those are the ones that really will tear down somebody from they just for the sake of tearing down their somebody who's the same phenotype of them because of their so-called yeah, because maybe they don't like the skin that they're in, so they do that to tear somebody
Oh,
else down. Yeah, and
okay.
that's what we've been fighting against. And for me, I'm like this, it's like, hey, yes, I judge you for I'm judging you for your character, whether you put it out, whether you told your stories or somebody else told your story, then it's like, hey, it's like, yeah, you can consider me to be your judge, jury, and executioner. Not necessarily in the literal sense, but then again, just judging how again conduct yourself. Are you moral? Again, like, do you have morals? Are you again? I'm not gonna use the political sense of the term conservative because I'm not talking conservative political wise, because that's what a lot of people tend to think. Oh, conservative is a political. It's like, no, that's not what we're meaning. That's not what it means.
Okay.
Yeah,
Um. All right. I got a question for you, but I'm gonna answer. Talk about who do I think promotes colorism more?
yeah,
I think I want to say both as well, but I think dark skinned people do it more because they're dark skinned and they have self hate issues. This is not to say that they're not supposed to like or love, um, let's just say, other light skinned blacks or whatever, but because dark skin is looked down upon, and because in this day and age, I feel like there are plenty of people who don't want to be dark skinned. I think they promote colorism more. I think they promote. I mean, not color. Um, yeah, no, I think they promote. Hold on, now I forgot. Reading that comment, I forgot to say. Promote colorism more. I think that dark skinned people do it a little bit more because of their own self hate issues. Meaning, if Virgo life is meaning they talk about or complain about colorism more, um, yes, I think dark skinned people do it more often because they feel, um, or not necessarily feel, they may know that dark skinned people get the short, the like the brunt of the stick, like they get judged more based on them being dark skinned, whether it's about dating or just being in society in general. Um, we've been taught that dark skin is equivalent to being angry, sad, violent, shit like that. But if he's saying in a sense that dark skinned people promote lighter skinned people more, also yes, because a lot of the times, again, it has to do with self hate. They don't they look at their dark skin as a curse, so they uplift and praise anyone lighter than them, especially as far as beauty standards. Um, and then I got a question for Aaron. Oh, what was the question? Do you think fuck, I forgot what it was. It has something to do with what you said about colorism.
Yeah.
Oh fuck. I forgot.
Wait, but can I also make this point too?
Yeah,
Real quick before again, if it comes back to you, it just comes back to you. Now, we as again, like whether and again, like in the golden sphere, because there's again, like us MLS people, oh yeah, which are known as terms like light skinned folks, yeah. Um, for some reason, it's like certain talking points have been used against us, like, oh well, we've been undercover agents for white supremacy, and again, it's like we didn't heard that so much, and it's like that is not true, definitely not true. And even if they try to pick that one speck of pepper out in the bunch, they try to make that mountain out of a molehill, and I'm like, no. But then beyond that, that argument is disingenuous, because definitely not here in America, as much as they try to put it out there, that we have not, again, that it has not been, we have not necessarily, again, been no so-called undercover agents for the oppressors. Definitely not here in America.
Okay.
Did your question have to do with parentage?
What you say?
Did your question have to do with parentage? You need a pen and a piece of paper to write your questions down.
I do, because I sure enough forgot. You said
Did it have to do
parentage?
with like black moms versus the non-black moms and the black dads versus
N-
the
no.
non-black dads, and how that affects child's um the child's view of themselves?
Right. No, no, it didn't have anything to do with. I mean, if you want to ask that and or whatever, that's fine. But no, it didn't. It didn't have. He says something about shit. Okay, it came back. The light skinned saviors and the colorism crybabies.
Yeah.
Um, do you feel that light skinned or biracial people, when they do defend dark skinned people, in colorism, like as if dark skinned people are looked down upon more than someone who's not dark skinned, do you feel like they're pandering, catering, and trying to get the validation of dark skinned black people? Or do you feel that they're really genuine about being the so called light skinned savior?
I'm gonna go with answer A. So
Pander,
far from what,
pandering?
so yeah, so far from what I've experienced,
And why
because
is
actually,
that?
well, because I've seen, because there was like this because there was a dude that, well, not just this one dude, but this one particular, but there's been two other folks that have done this as well, and they try to, again, come within the golden sphere and try to put, again, like wherever their traumas and inferiority complexes that they have, on to us, like we've contributed to that. And it's like, no. And the fact is like, hey, you necessarily don't have to go down this route trying to, again, seek validation, because it's like, and again, they do this, it's because you'll have these agents of chaos, these so-called these ops acting, and people who have, these inferiority complexes and insecurities, and they play on people's emotions because it's like, oh, they feel like that they're not black enough, or they're not mixed enough, or they don't have admixture or what have you. And again, there's nothing wrong. Let me be clear. There's nothing wrong with having admixture, or having admixture or not, because again, nobody's not born the same. We're not born the same. Again, we don't look the same. Hell, we're not the same height or what have you. Hell, it's like, even in the gaming world, it's like, hell, we have PlayStation, other people may have Xbox, but going back into it, but like, and even with the gene.
Hello, Brandon. Can you mute your mic, please? Okay. Go ahead, Aaron.
But yeah. But again, like, but being genuine, that's kind of a tough one for me, because it's like, like, if you're really trying to be genuine, well then, hey, then you would be, then this is how, you sort of would be doing it. You necessarily don't have to go out of your way to put somebody down just to seek validation. That's like, you basically are trying to buy affection from somebody who really don't care about you. And you're just paying them. You're paying them. It's like you're paying them money, but they don't see the same way. They don't see you the same way as you see them.
Right. You feel as though the light-skinned saviors put down other light-skinned or biracial people for the validation of dark-skinned black people. You don't believe that they necessarily see that colorism is a real thing or it's a problem.
Yeah, and as a matter of fact, I saw one dude make exactly that comment. And what's funny is that you hear the term light skin privilege or black privilege or mixed privilege, and then again, I remember there would be times where I'd be asking, well, what is that? Even when, before there was even a manosphere, I would go on this other dude's certain dude's channel or panel I would hop on, and I would ask him, like, well, do you know what that means? And to his credit, he was very respectful answering this. And his thing was, oh, that was something that basically, oh, that was something. And again, his thing was like always the women. Like, oh, really? The women started that. I'm like, okay.
So I'm gonna ask this, and then I'm gonna let Brandon say whatever he needs to say. So you don't think, okay, in terms of the standard of beauty, because I don't believe in light skin privilege, like, oh, they get jobs, more job opportunities than dark skinned black people. I don't necessarily believe that. I haven't witnessed that. But I'm speaking in terms of the beauty standard. you don't think colorism or a person being mixed or light skinned, you don't think that the standard of beauty is based upon lighter skinned and biracial people when it comes to what black people find beautiful? You don't think that black people don't have some self hate issues there, or what?
No, I say it's a combination.
Why?
Well, because it's like, again, like number one, again, like again, and again, and another thing, and I may be going off, for a bit. Light skinned and mixed folks are a minority within America, or even, now I can't necessarily speak for the rest of the world, but just in America, we're still considered the minority within the minority. But regarding the beauty standards, because again, because I'm not a judge of what another man may find attractive, or doesn't find attractive. But I do, but yeah, but why I say it's a combination is because, again, like number one, and again, and I'm pretty sure you've seen videos where, where you'll see, how you see these little prank videos or what have you, where certain dudes would be outside just asking girls random questions like, which one you prefer, light or dark men, or vice versa.
Yeah.
You'll get that part. And it's like, and me personally, it's just like, yo, I'm not taking it serious because I'm just like entertained by it at the end of the day, because it's like, again, it's not, something I'm just like, hell, I'm 34 years old. And like, why would I, like, what the hell I got, a problem? Like, why am I going to cry over that? Because I'm not being picked, or somebody else who may look like me or whatever, not getting picked. No. But
so before you continue, so you feel, well, I do want to say this. I mean, I worded that other part wrong. I do see, as far as like jobs, as far as like the entertainment and representation of black women, I do see more often than not light skin and biracials getting picked, more so than dark skinned black women. I was thinking more of just like, everyday folks for jobs and stuff like that. I don't see it there. But as far as the standard of beauty and the representation of black women, I do see it. So I want to kind of like retract that a little bit.
Yeah.
But and then I'm gonna let Brandon go. So you think that light skinned men, because I've seen those videos too. You think light skinned men get looked down upon, like they're not seen as masculine or attractive? You think there's some discrimination against light skinned and biracial men?
Oh yeah. Maybe not necessarily, maybe not in the professional world, like in regarding jobs or what have you, but more so just like, just how
The dating
we're
standards
seeing
that people have?
the the dating standard, and just how we're seen as soft, feminine. And it's like, well, it's like, why are you, it's like you act as though like just a male, a man of a certain, phenotype can only be seen that way, just
Right, I
because
get what you mean. Yeah.
it's like, well, you don't necessarily, it's like, hell, any man can be soft, whether they be black, white, Asian, Hispanic, or Middle Eastern, but yet it's all, and again, and in America, and again, it's like, yeah, we're talking about America, that it's, again, it's like we're bit, it's like, it's sort of necessarily how even since the 90s,
Right.
time frame, how they always love to point out the New Jack City era, and you hear
Yeah.
it so much. And even Charlemagne the God from the Breakfast Club was, joking about it or what have you. But yet, then I turned around and will say, I'm like, well, Ice-T in that movie, regardless, got his revenge, got Nino Brown back though,
Right.
regardless of whether it's a movie. And
All right. I
so
got
there was
another thing
no,
I want to bring up because I want Brandon to speak. He's been waiting so patiently. Um. So you think that, well, when you bring that up, like light skinned men are looked at soft and feminine, not masculine or anything like that. So would you agree that femininity, softness, someone acting or being seen as womanly or feminine, you think that that light skinned people are that's attributing to someone looking at a light skinned person? Like you think that people have they look at a light skinned man or a woman and think that they're more feminine and soft than someone who's dark skinned?
that right there, again, to me, it just seems as though that may be how it's perceived in a way. But then again, I'm just talking about, again, like how it's perceived, and the idea that that's all of it is just what is it, just tied to light skinned and mixed people, just light skinned women or biracial women or mixed women, what have you. Like, no. um I know it may seem that way, but 9 times out of 10, um it's not.
So I would ask, why do you think light skinned men are perceived as soft and feminine?
Just a way to try to, emasculate us, just so they can get to the women. And unfortunately, yes, you do have some of the women that will, hop on the bandwagon too, because, they themselves have been programmed. I'm not going to say conditioned, but programmed to also think the same way.
Hmm.
And
Interesting.
as some may not admit this, but there's still a percentage of them that, that still do. And the thing is that, it's like, well, like how can we go about, again, trying to, again, like sort of revamp the narrative that we're not necessarily, again, it's like, hey, just because, it's like, hell, there's a certain thing called, I don't want to, it's like, let's be real. And I remember I was telling somebody this, that, yo, and no disrespect to this dude, but still, I'm just being honest. I don't want somebody like the baby playing me in the biography of me. I don't.
Why?
Well, do I look like the baby? And it got nothing to do with phenotype. I'm just saying.
Right. No, I understand that. Right.
Yeah.
But see,
Yeah.
that's what when I think about the topic of colorism, that's what I'm talking about. With the representation of Black women and Black womanhood, it's given to biracial or light skinned women all the time, instead of dark skinned black women. um the beautiful girl, the it girl, the one that represents um Black women, whether it's the phenotype or what, you know or just in general, like you said, you wouldn't want someone who don't look like you portraying you. And when I think about colorism, that's another thing I think about. There's always a biracial or a light skinned Black woman representing all of Black women, when you said that they're a minority compared to dark and brown skinned Black women.
Yeah.
But okay, I mean, I understand, your perspective. We'll go in more into that, but I'm gonna let Brandon speak Brandon, do you have anything to add to the topic of the golden sphere or colorism?
Well, not really. I didn't have really much to say. I just came up because he posted in the chat, but I was just listening. Yeah, I don't really have much to speak myself.
Yeah.
This
Okay.
stop is ES Marks,
Yeah.
a light for athletics field.
I'm on
But
a train.
oh, you're just listening in.
Yeah, yeah. I just yeah. I'm on the train anyway, so it's hard to talk.
Okay.
This stop is ES Marks.
But if you have if you get to a quiet background soon, feel free. I wanted to ask you. Oh well, first of all, I don't even know if you're like white or black or whatever. But from your perspective, how are biracials seen in Australia? I know you told me you're from Australia.
I
This
just
stop is
hear it's
Kensington,
fine.
followed by UNSW
I'm not
at
sure where you are. If they still have that
Kingsford,
sort of like,
then Julius Kingsford.
like white supremacist stuff over there. I'm not sure if you still have that or not, or if it's going like you said it's very rare that it's still like happening because they're like you're saying are programmed to think that. But here there's not any real racial disputes here.
Hmm.
This
Okay.
stop is Kensington.
Well, your background is kind of loud, so I'm gonna have to mute you again. Oh, he hopped off. Okay. But I think what I heard him say is that it's very rare to see black and white relationships in Australia, and that I think he said there's no bad tension between blacks and whites or whites and mulattoes. I think he said it sounded like he
Well,
said. I
that
couldn't.
can't be true because you got the Kiwis who are the natives, and then
Right.
like she said, especially in New Zealand. And then what was his name? That was
Uh,
the one that was stalking Mill and Cat at first. Remember, he had the Australian girlfriend, white girlfriend. And even though he deserved it, but look how he was treated. The content creator, you remember years ago, just back in the day. What was his name? He been gone for a minute. Retired vet, and he was he used to speak on Jamila a lot, remember? And
I mean
he
Bruno Insight.
no, before, not Bruno. No. He used to show himself on camera. Remember, he got caught up playing with his meat and stuff. Oh lordy, what is his name? He was real
And he was
bad
from
stuff.
Australia.
No, he black American retired vet, but he had the Australia girlfriend. Remember, he was in
Oh,
Australia,
okay. I think I may know who you talking about.
and
Oh,
then he
Is
came
it
back home.
Reginald P.
RPJ?
Jones. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, uh,
RPJ.
yeah, not RPJ, the other one, but they had
Yeah, but
similar.
yeah, Robert. Yeah, Reginald P.
Uh,
Jones yeah,
RJ, it was RPJ or that one.
Hey,
yeah. Nah,
Reginald P. Jones. Yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah. He hey honey darling, what's up, husband? You've been neglecting me. I miss you. But yeah, he 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 had issues. I mean, he deserved them because he was a drunk and he was beating on her. But I mean, he did have issues down there, and he spoke on it. I don't know if it was because he was Black American or what, but I do know the indigenous to New Zealand and Australia do have issues, and they would be considered part of the diaspora.
mm,
There you go. Every time I talk about something interesting, one of the devices decides to start listening. But yeah, and I have Australian and friends from New Zealand, and I have friends that are native to New Zealand. They do get to move back and forth because of travel rules, just like in the States. But from what I understand, it's not exactly. I'm reading this statement what Brandon said. Well, no real racial discrimination here, but maybe where you are, it died down. But racial colors is still an issue in some areas, like that George Floyd incident. Um, I can agree with that, but right now I'm in the UK. I'm an expat, so I'm an expat from the States to the UK, and my husband is English. So yeah, but I was just saying, Reginald P. Jones, yeah, he just used to speak on it in between Stark and Cat and Jamila. Yeah,
Yeah, he
I'm
was a.
glad
It's
this
like he was a
changed
Jamila.
too.
He was a Jamila kryptonite.
Yeah, well, he was a lot of kryptonite. He was on drugs and drinking too. He could have been a
Right.
real good content creator. But that's taking us off the subject at hand.
Yeah.
I really did want to know. I had a question. If anybody wants to answer it, that I've been wanting to ask for the longest is, do you think which parent, being the black one, uh, actually has an effect on the child, and if so, what effect?
In effect, what kind of effect? Negative or positive? Or it doesn't matter?
Well, like I explained earlier, in my experience, those with black mothers tend to have a more understanding of black politics, black history, traditions, and such, and all of that, and um, how to move in between the different ethnicities while maintaining themselves positively. Whereas I don't see the same where the mother is non-black and the father is black. Like those values aren't instilled as much. So I'm asking, what are your perspectives? Because this is all about perspective at this point.
My perspective um is I could agree with that. I think those biracials with black moms have don't have as much issues with their black side or their black identity, or don't have any um, resentment towards um, black people in general, especially towards black women. I think biracials with non-black mothers um, have more issues with that. Some some who've been raised um, by both parents, and this is what I've witnessed and spoken about with them as well. That black women are, well, the father is anti black women, and obviously the mother is, if she's not a black woman herself. They have racist and anti-black views. And it's not until they're older, like in their teenage years or adult years, is when the biracials themselves, usually break out of those teachings and views that they got from their parents. Um, Recently, like on social media, especially TikTok, a lot of biracials with non-black moms come out and speak about how their black fathers view um, being black and being around black women and things like that. So I think, and based off what I've seen as well, um, they dislike black women, but they uplift and praise Black men. So, based off what I've seen and what I've been actually taught by biracials, with the non-Black mom and the Black dad, I think those with um, non-Black mothers and Black dads tend to struggle and have problems more than those with Black moms and white or non-Black dads. And even though I'm going to be honest, I've seen, I wouldn't say a hatred, maybe, but I have seen some with Black moms who do think they're better or have this superiority complex when it comes to darker skinned Black women. But for the most part, I've seen it more so with those with non-Black moms and Black dads. I think it's all based on what they've been taught growing up and what they've witnessed from both of their parents.
Okay, thank you. Aaron, your point of view?
Nah, well, for me and my experiences, no, again, like I knew again, like I knew this one, and this dude, again, I don't know how he is now, but all I know is that, again, like when it came to me, he was always such a dick. Like he was always such a dick, and there was times where I would just be like, man, if I could catch this dude on the corner, but I know that he's not going to be by himself because, of course, he's going to probably run and tell somebody. So I'm just like, well, he don't like me, and I particularly don't care much about him. So I just judged that dude based off of not because of his background, but just, hey, your personality is giving me, you're breathing out a bad vibe, a bad aura, and I don't want to be a part of that, and you don't deserve to be, around me. And then also, and when it come to the girls, because again, I've experimented with both, and they kind of can act standoffish, but you do have to sort of get them to open up, like get them to I guess it's like how you got to put something in the microwave to warm it up or put it in the oven to warm up. But even those girls, either from both sides, they never done me wrong. So now in regards as to the issues and such, again, I don't doubt it. I don't doubt that there's like, again, issues at hand, internal issues, but we don't necessarily, again, I never really like, again, like had the chance, and maybe I probably should have, but at that time it's like, again, you don't know. You don't know what type of questions to ask. Because maybe it wasn't necessarily my place to do so. It's like, hey, whenever it's like, if you want to talk about something, we can. If not, well then, hey, it is what it is. Now, to me, but you do have those, again, like even some, again, like you'll have certain people that'll have these, white dads and Black moms, and the way that they behave, 9 times out of 10, it's like, you know what? I don't really think you even got that from your mom. You may have gotten that from your dad. Just how, again, like just how you express yourself and how you go about it, just how you express yourself and how you just go about things and say things that you say. And it's like they like to, again, they some of them can come off being passive aggressive. I get, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Um, and another thing I wanted to add, and then Key can add or ask another question is, and this is what I heard from biracial men and women themselves with um, non-black mothers and black fathers. This is my words. They say that the father, their black dads, are um, anti-black women themselves, which is the whole reason why they seek out non-black women and create mulatto children. This is their words. There's one a real well-known biracial woman. Her name is Dom C, and she talks about this a lot because this was her upbringing, that her father didn't want her to have a black identity or act like a black woman. Um, and so really, I guess in her and many others like her, their cases, the black dad is dealing with deep self-hate issues, and they feel like that's part of the reason that they even exist in the first place. So that's their their words and their experiences growing up. Is that true for all of them? I can't say, because again, I've met some who don't have any hatred or anger or resentment towards black women. But that she talks about that a lot because she feels a lot of mulattoes um that had her upbringing, that it's a lot more of them. They're just not coming out and speaking about it. But yeah, well, one of you guys can go ahead.
I find that if I find this in general, whether it doesn't even matter which parent is the black one, and maybe for even some of the fairer skinned black folk, that they're put in a position, or they feel like they're in a position where they have to prove, and I'll put this in quotation marks, their blackness.
Mm,
So sometimes it's like, and they go overboard, like excessive use of the N word,
mm,
and things of that nature. Like they identify with the commercial um image of what black culture is, as opposed to the real life everyday what is black culture. But I find that more when the mother is non-black than when the father is non-black.
mm.
And I
Okay.
don't know why. I've been trying to figure that out. Like, you know, why that is. Like,
I feel, well, this is my opinion. I mean, I'm not trying to speak for them. I don't want them feeling like I am, but I think it's based off of the biasness that
mm,
whoever a black man has a child with, they're automatically black, so they don't have to prove anything. Whereas a black woman who has a biracial with a non-black man, they're not considered black, or they have to prove their blackness because I think it's a biasness. When black men date out, it's not looked down upon really in the black community. It's championed even. But when black women do it, it's an issue. She's a bedwench, she's a race traitor, she's
mm.
all these things. So I think that could be um one of the reasons why.
And then I didn't realize I was that much older than you, Aaron. I'm old enough to be your mama. You know, I didn't realize it. So now I understand a little bit more because in my day, your complexion was the one everybody wanted. Like,
Hmm.
look at Albie Shore, Christopher Williams. You mentioned, uh, you mentioned, what was the movie you mentioned?
Ice Ice T, New Jack City.
New Jack City, one of my favorite movies. At that point in time, I was in love with Albie Shore, Christopher Williams, even Ice T. I was in love with, but I didn't find Wesley Snipes attractive at all. But you got to think, I was like in high school, maybe my senior year, around that time. You know,
Right.
so um, that was what was being championed. Just the fact that one thing about that movie, you know, you said the manliness. What you don't understand is that uh, Ice T was actually in the hero's role. And
Yeah.
that says a lot that they cast the villain as a dark skinned black dude. That says a lot. They didn't
Yeah.
switch it out. Like Ice T could have been the villain and Wesley Snipes as the hero. Why not? Because at that time the image that was given out about black folks was that it was the fair skin and the biracials that were safe, and I put that in uh, quotation marks. They were the safe ones of us. That the darker you were, you were still a villain. You weren't to be trusted. That's who was going to knock you over the head and steal your purse. All of that. Yeah, seriously, but look at the movies of that period and that time. Look at your commercials at that time. Just look at who even down to your music artists, and all of that. Look at the roles Wesley Snipes was playing. Like
Yeah,
Hmm.
from
he
like
was
Nino
playing a lot of villain roles.
from a lot
Um,
from Nino Brown, Sugar Hill, and
right, right. But then look at somebody like Lawrence Fishburne, and look at the roles he was playing. School Days, he was the hero. Things of that nature. So, I mean, even down to that, that was what was being portrayed. But just like style changes with time. So the fairer skins and the biracials had their time. Now it's the time of I want a dark skinned man. I want my baby to be as dark as possible. Or you know what I'm saying? So just like what was in fashion in the 60s turns around to be in fashion in the 80s, turns around to be in fashion in the 2000, 2010. You know, it revolves. It's an ever revolving circle unless we as a people do something about it ourselves. And yeah, I'll just be quiet now. God want to go.
I
okay.
understand. I can agree, and I understand that. Well, then I would say, Key, what about dark skinned black women? Do you feel that um, the times are changing? It already has changed, or do you feel like there's still some discrimination against dark skinned black women when it comes to
Women
that
and men.
type of?
I'm going to put it for okay. As far as being my complexion, which is like me, the dark. I think there has been some change because the commercial perception worldwide has changed on you know complexion. Uh, you see more fashion models, more actors and actresses, and all of that that embrace the skin and that have been embraced by the skin and you got your Tyrese's and all of those that have come out and even though they marry non-black women, but um, they have become a standard of, and I can't think of the African fashion model whose skin is so beautiful and she's very dark. Um, they have a presence where there was none any there weren't any before. Um, do I think that it's changed? Has anything really changed? And there's nothing new under the sun. Um, I think we're looking at least at another 100 years before when everything is really mixed up. We're in the process of everybody being mixed again. Because, you know, colonization created a lot of separatism, if that's a word, uh, and tribalism. Um, I think your generation and your children's generation um, are moving in the right direction as far as correcting the problem because there's more discussion without argument now. I think my generation and before was more concerned about being treated equally as a people than treating each other equally, not realizing we need to treat each other equally first, you know. I think they were trying to do too much at one time, and that's why you got things like your African what is it? You know what I'm talking about, and you got all these different groups. But yeah, do I think if you're dark skinned, you're labeled a certain way as non-safe in quotation marks? I'm gonna say yes, but that's not. I don't think that's the diaspora's fault. I think that's commercial fault because I find that worldwide, um, especially if you're American, you're viewed a certain way just based on a TV show or a movie that might be 20, 30 years old, but they're just seeing it. I think that's why I'm in the Nollywood as much as I am because it's by us, it's for us, it's about us, and it paints all of us in different lights, and it's not based on shade that I've seen.
Okay.
Um, because at first it was Hollywood, then it was Bollywood, which Bollywood is very based on shade, um, and both Hollywood too. But Nollywood seems to be trying to move away from that a little bit. I mean, you still see a little bit of it, but it's not slapped in your face because everybody that's in the production basically has the same skin.
Mm.
So unless you're looking deep for the hidden things, maybe. But for the most part, even then, like they'll pair the light skinned woman with the dark skinned man, but the children will be dark skinned. See what I'm saying?
Right. I know. I
So
get it.
so I think that's why I'm into it because it doesn't have as much biasness in it. I'm not going to say racism or colorism. I'm going to say bias because I think it all comes to a bias, not colorism actually. Even colorism, I think, falls under bias. Racism is different, but biasness, yeah, I think we as a people can be biased. I think that's why reverse racism doesn't really exist. But as can we be biased? Yes. And I'm only speaking reverse racism with, and I hate saying it, but I have to because I find it as a better word. The colonizers. You can't have reverse racism, the oppressor, but you can be racist against non-colonizers, which would be like, your Asians and etc.
Okay. I got a
Like,
question
hmm
for Key. Do you think, okay, because of the psychology that has been beaten into black folk, do you think it's black people, like you said, you don't think it's the diaspora's fault, but you don't think it's their fault to fight this psychology? Like, I don't know if you see videos of young, I'll basically say anyone under 30, you have black guys judging black girls, basically, who they would date or whatever, and they would always reject darker skinned black girls. You don't you think that that's more of what's been projected, or you think it's their own fault for not fighting that psychology?
I think it's a combination. Um, if you haven't been taught to love the entire rainbow, um, from the beginning, uh, you know, um, the decisions you make, as even up to like picking a partner, are always based on what you learned from the time you come out of the womb, what you are shown, your traumas, your loves, your experiences in life, dictate the movements you make as an adult, unless you make an assertive move to change that behavior. Um, if you've been taught all your life that a black woman is only beautiful if she's uh, lighter or fairer in skin, then when you're an adult, if you haven't been taught or found any different, you can say that's my preference, but is it really your preference if you've never dealt with um, a darker woman?
Mm-hmm.
Or you can say that, oh, all darker women are ratchet, but there's just as many fair skinned women that's ratchet. Sometimes they even more ratchet than a dark skinned woman, because the dark skinned woman knows that if she's ratchet, she's being judged as ratchet before she even opens her mouth. No matter
Right.
how much how much education she has, how eloquent she is, or whatever else, that just based on the tone of her skin, she's automatically put in that box as ratchet and has to
Mm-hmm.
fight out of it. Whereas the fairer skinned woman is put in a box of, oh, she's classy, and she's the trophy, the candy. She's the pretty one. She's classy. She do all this. She do all that. When it's actually the opposite. But again, I think that's a learned behavior. I don't
Mm.
think it's necessarily a preference. I think that's what's been taught,
I agree.
whether it be by TV, movies, music, whatever. Environment. I think that's a taught behavior as opposed to a generic behavior. So I think in order to fix that, we as a people need to understand that we are the rainbow. Everyone else comes from us. We are the rainbow. So there's no such thing as, and I hate to use this word, but that's what we call it, chinky eyes, because those eyes are us. Those are us. There's no
Yeah.
such thing as exotic when you are the originator.
Right. And I
First
don't think a
mother
lot of
is
people know
black.
that. Right.
The first mother is black. Everyone has the same uh, gene for the first mother. That means everyone comes from a black woman, no matter what ethnicity you are. So there's no such thing as uh, she's exotic because she has chinky eyes. No, she's not exotic. She's black. Those are a characteristic of being black. But then you have to understand genetics and all of that to really, you getting deep into the science of it. I think when they say, uh, when not even, I use melanated, but I like to put more in front of it because everyone is melanated except for albinos. So even
Right.
if you were a colonizer or European, um, you no matter how fair your skin is, unless you're an albino, you have melanation. You just have less of it. There's no such thing as non-melanated. Like I said, with the exception of being an albino, and that's a medical thing.
Yeah, that's like a mutation.
Yeah, it's I would have to ask my husband. He would know better than me. But I think
Okay.
it falls under like the recessive gene because
Okay.
you could get albinos in all ethnicities, and they all look the same, except for maybe you can only tell the difference with the grade of hair. But the hair will be just about the same color, skin tone just about the same color, eyes just about the same color, everything about them same thing, except for maybe the grade of hair, and that's how you can tell ethnicity. But yeah, so but when you look at paintings and things like that, and just art in general, or commercialism in general, is always the rare that they're looking for to make beautiful. What's rare? Or what do we want to program you? And I like that word, whoever came up with that earlier in the conversation. Program this population with, these people with. So let's program them this way. Like the idea that all black men are mandingos. Let me tell you,
Mhm.
they're not.
Right. Definitely not.
So again, oh, I want to be with a black man. Oh, you with that white man. You with him because why would you pick him over a black man? Black men give you that. No, not all of you do. No, and the main ones saying that they do are the ones that don't. For in my experience, okay. So I mean, like there are levels to this, just like there are levels to everything. So, but until we like look inside ourselves and as a individual and say, I'm happy with me, I love me. My only competition is who I see in the mirror. And so therefore that opens me up to love you no matter how dark you are, how fair you are. Um, we share a common history. We just see it from different perspectives. Let's get together and talk about it and see how we can bridge the divide. And then by bridging that divide, maybe we can heal ourselves as a people. I think that's where I'm headed
Okay.
with this discussion. We need to heal as individuals, and then we can heal as a people.
I agree. I agree. But I have a I want before we get off here, I want to discuss relationships just a little bit. So well, let's start off with these dating coaches. I wanted to discuss just a little bit because I don't like talking about them. Um, but when Kevin Samuels went on Nicki Minaj, I Instagram live. I don't know if either one of you have seen it. Um, but I feel like he panders to a specific group, which is just angry, resentful black men. I don't think he gives any truly real, new, positive, helpful advice. I think he just regurgitates what's already been said for many years now. Um, and I agree with what Nikki said when she said that black women shouldn't worry or concern themselves with who wants them. I think they should focus on making their life better and then go out there and get the man that you want. Um, Instead of listening to these so-called dating coaches or relationship experts, because a lot of them be black men, they seem to really look down on black women, slander them. They just don't like black women, but yet black women still listen to them and think what they're saying is helpful or truthful. So I want you guys perspective on any black male dating coach you may have listened to before. What do you think about all this? It don't have to necessarily be Kevin Samuels either, but just what do you guys think about that?
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and say this. Like most of the dating coaches that I've seen um on YouTube, the one and again the ones that I observed, apparently it's like to me, I think they just, again, really trying to do everything they can just to get money out of you and not necessarily trying to guide you in the right direction. It's like they're just saying things just for the sake of saying it. And it's like, you can go to any other, again, any other culture. It's like they necessarily don't have a dating coach or like, why do we, well, why is there such thing as a coach anyway? Like what, and do we really need coaching, or is that just the the culture aspect of it? Oh, these coaches need coaching. The hell you say? Because there's plenty of people who didn't need coaching and had no issues, again, going out there. I mean, you can teach certain things, like, how can I say this? Now, again, I could be wrong about it, but now I don't know if I ought to put a pickup artist or a gamesman in this, but it's like, those are, different categories. But it's like, to me, dating coaches just seem played out to me. They just seem played out, and I don't really understand why people tend to fall for these things. Again, it's like, and the thing is that no one is saying that you can't have one. Just because I say it, it's not going to necessarily mean that somebody else won't seek out the dating coach. And as far as I know, and again, now I don't, and again, in regarding Nikki, um, and the Nikki and Kevin Samuel stuff, even though I didn't see it, but I think that may have been something that was baited. Like like that would be something that Kevin Samuels would do. Like, well, I wanted that to happen. But go ahead.
Okay. What about you, Key?
Well, well, there have always been dating coaches and matchmakers uh, since the beginning of time. Um, in fact, the Chinese, the Japanese, they really had matchmakers uh, for each dynasty. I mean, from BC, wherever. In my particular instance in my life, my dating advice came from the men in my life who raised me. My fathers, my uncles, my grandfathers. Um, I was blessed to be the oldest of girls. So, without there being any sons, a lot of my father just told me the what's for real, for real. With men, I could ask him any question I wanted, even down to things about sex and stuff like that. Because he viewed me, I was female, he viewed me as his son, his oldest son. So I got probably a lot of advice that the normal woman would find cringy or wasn't privy to. Um, so I'm grateful for that. I also got advice from the women in my life, my mother, my aunts, my grandmother, for the female perspective or how to date. Did I have pitfalls along the way? Of course, that's a part of coming of age. But I must say that had I not read Act Like a Woman, Think Like a Man by Steve Harvey, I probably wouldn't be married. Um, I was reading his book, I read it, and I decided to use it as an experiment with a man that was 4,000 miles away from me and for 2 years had been chasing me and telling me how pretty I was. And, he was really into me and everything. And one New Year's Eve, I decided to experiment, and do some of the things that the book recommended as far as dating goes. And lo and behold, 2 years later, I was married. Okay, 2 years later. Um,
Nice.
it was just based on an experiment, though. For real, for real. I read the book and I actually took the advice in it and experimented with it, not knowing that it was going to lead me down an aisle. I just wanted to see if it would work or not, and it worked. And not only did it work, but I'm blessed with a good man at that. And it has nothing to do with ethnicity, has nothing to do with age, has nothing to do with money, has everything to do with him as a man. It helped me to put into practice what my guidance had been telling me all along, but I was ignoring. So don't just watch the movie and think you got everything that Steve Harvey was trying to put out. You need to read his book. And it doesn't matter what ethnicity you are. When the book came out, he got in a lot of trouble with men as a whole because they thought or they felt he broke man code by putting things out there in females' hands that they really shouldn't know about men. Some of the stuff I already knew because, like I said, I was blessed with men in my life that didn't hold any shots when it came to that. But yeah, if you want a good read and you are really looking for some advice that works no matter what century it is, what ethnicity you are, but you just want to find the right one for you, it's a good read. Um, One of the main things I took away from the book was the three P's that every woman should look for: uh, protect, provide, and profess. Of course, protect. Do you feel safe with that man? Does he give you an overall feeling that if there was a choice between your life and his, he would willingly give up his life to save you? Do you feel like that he won't beat on you, he won't abuse you, all of that type of stuff? Does he give evidence of that? Okay, so that's to protect, provide. Is this man a provider? Can you rest assured that you won't be living on a park bench with this man? That he won't put you in a position where you going to work unless it's agreed, because there's nothing wrong with being a house husband. Okay, that's a sexist point of view. But that this man won't put you out, that he won't put you in a position where you working three jobs because he too lazy. He just want to sit there and he just wants to play PlayStation all day while the kids cry in the background and you still gotta come home and cook and clean and do everything. Okay, so
Wow.
that's the second part. I'm just saying these are examples. Okay, and then
Yeah.
the last part, profess. Is this the man that's willing to tell the world he love you and really mean it? Not just love you when the lights turned off, not just love you at nighttime, not just love you when certain people are around, not just love you uh when when he dicking you down or whatever, but that he love you when you getting on his nerves, that he love you when you sick as a dog and throwing up and look terrible, that he loves you when you bald headed and wrinkly, he love you without the lashes, the nails, you know, that he really loves you, that he will walk up to your parents and have that conversation. What happened to having that conversation with the parents? Okay, you know, when men used to actually go ask permission for uh to marry you, do it the right way, because the way it starts is the way it ends. I thought that that was a way of the past. Like, don't no man had to ask my parents. I want to marry him, I'll marry him. But I didn't understand how valuable that really is. If a man is willing to go and sit down with your parents and say, look, I love her and I want to prove to you that I'm the one for her and that she's the one for me. Because ultimately, it's not a woman that finds a husband finds a good thing. It's a man that finds a wife finds a good thing. It's not our job to go seeking the man. It's his job to find us. And I think that's where a
Right.
lot of women go wrong. And even if you're in same sex relationships, because there are identifiers in that too, you know, with roles and which role each one will play. But yeah, it's best if you are found, because when you go looking, you looking for love in all the wrong places, you know.
I could agree to that. Yeah. Hmm.
So I hope that wasn't too convoluted and answered your question.
No, no, I agree with that wholeheartedly as well. I think that is a very good um description and answer. So in your case, it may not have been Kevin Samuels, but in your case, you recommend that particular book for women, um, instead of just like listening to these dating coaches on YouTube or what have you. You recommend that book because you believe it's more in depth and it's more useful information. Um,
Not only that, go get. Why would you take dating and marriage advice? And this is for male and female. Why would you take dating or marriage advice for someone who has never had a successful one?
mm, that's true, though. No, that's very true. I
I
agree.
mean, seriously. If they dated but never gotten married, why would you take their advice? Even if the marriage failed, but they successfully dated and got down the aisle. Okay, I can listen to you for some dating advice. But then you've dated and never been married, and I'm going to take marriage advice from you.
Right.
So somewhere there's a disconnect between dating and marriage for you.
Yeah.
Or you've been married, but you only been married 2 to 5 years. Really, that's the honeymoon phase. You haven't even gotten through the most difficult part. You know who I want marriage advice from? Somebody that's been married like 20 years or better, 30 years or better. Or somebody that was married till death did they part.
Mm.
Because people don't realize there's the honeymoon phase. That's the good. That's the beginning. That's when you so in love with somebody. All you want to do is eat and fuck, fuck and eat and fuck. I can't get enough of you. You can't get enough of me. We just so happy. And then there's the not you again phase. I just woke up with you yesterday. I can't stand it. Oh, will you please throw those your favorite J's away because they smell like corn chips and the dog wants to chew them. Um, or you snore. It's keeping me up. You're just aggravating me. I'm tired of talking to you. Or and other issues, that come up in the marriage that you may not have known because you weren't living together, and now you see them. So now the question is, can I live with this for the rest of my life? And this is where a lot of marriages and relationships break up because when they get to this phase, they don't know how to communicate. They don't know how to sit down and evaluate why they're with this person and why they married them to begin with. And remember the honeymoon phase, remember the dating phase, remember why this is the person for me and they felt I was the person for them. And both on both sides. If you can make it through that phase to the next phase, which is the final phase, right? That this is it, this is the person for me. I'm gonna love them for life. Come hell or high water. I meant every vow that I spoke to in front of God and the world, and all of this. It wasn't just my day to look pretty in a dress and all of this stuff, and your day to look nice in a tux, but that they be in this for the long haul, like we said we would back on that first day when we said I do and we did our first dance. That here we are, 5 to 10 years later, and that okay, we made it through the honeymoon phase, we made it through the hard phase. Now it's just me and you, and is it gonna be me and you? I could put up with the real you now, right? And learn more about you. And you can put up with the real me and learn more about me. And we can do this for infinity. And if you can do that, then you will have a successful marriage. But people a lot of times give up before they get to that point. But would I have known about these three phases had I not had a grandparent who was married 50 years when my grandfather passed away first? You know what I'm saying? So they had 50 years in. They were married plus 50, but they had at least 50 in. And I grew up with this, with a good man not cheating on his wife, taking care of his family, doing whatever he had to do to make sure that they ate, that his grandkids ate, and all of that. And a grandmother who loved her man and did whatever for him to make him happy. Where are those marriages nowadays, and where are those people to instill this in the next generation? Stop looking to strangers who don't have successful relationships to find your nirvana, because you'll never find it. You'll never find it. And then paying for bad advice at that. Bad advice. And who's willing to tell the truth about what really goes on in a marriage? And I think that's a failure on society because where are the big mamas? Where are they at? Tyler Perry can't be the big mama. I'm
I
just
remember, you know
saying.
what, Key, I'm gonna be honest with you. I even asked my actual mom that, and even she said, and what she told me was that, well, it got to the point because hey, these these young girls, they thought they knew everything. It's like, okay,
Right, right.
they thought they knew
They don't want to
everything.
take the advice. Hmm.
It's like they got it all figured out, you know, and again, they may have thought that the big mamas, you know, again, was just like too hard on them or too rough with them. It's like, nah, that's just, they was just preparing you for for what you getting ready to step out into the world, because the world ain't is not a nice place, and nothing is going to be handed to you on a silver platter.
Exactly.
So when
Too
it
much
gets to,
entitlement. Hmm.
yeah, and even for the modern day woman, it's like hell, like shoot hell again, and I know you're in the UK, and it's like, and if you were to come back to the US, not saying all, but like 9 times out of 10, you're probably gonna see, um,
Oh, I've been on.
may, yeah, maybe woman with 2 or 3 kids, but hardly the man is there, or even if there's a man around.
But it's always been like that. That's not a new occurrence.
Yeah, yeah,
That, that that's
that,
that's
that
not a new occurrence.
matriarchy, yeah.
Sadly, and that's in all ethnicities. It's not just in the diaspora. It's
Oh no, I wasn't saying,
yeah.
no, I wasn't
No,
saying
no,
that
I
from that
know, I know.
perspective.
I just want to make that for those that's listening. But
Yeah,
it's across the board. I think and now what is bothering me more than anything is that it seems like to me, because there's always been a saying, mama's baby, daddy's maybe, but now there seems to be an uprise on women who don't want the responsibility of motherhood. Yet they lay down and they produce these kids. I can't understand how you can carry your life for 10 months inside your belly, hear its heartbeat, feel it kick, talk to it, maybe sing to it, and all of this, and put your body through all those changes and put your life on the line to bring it, to portal this life into the world, only to say, I can't do it. You did the hardest part. Men don't, they just plant, they don't even plant the seed, because I mean that's a misnomer. They just fertilize the seed, to be quite
Right.
honest with you. So that planting the seed is patriarchy and misogynistic at its best. But once your seed is fertilized and you keep it watered, right? Because the woman, that's what we do. We keep it fed, we keep it watered, we try to keep it safe. We do all of that. And then you say, five, and I know there's such a thing as postpartum. I'm not discounting that. And mothers do need a break, and sometimes they don't get it. But how can you just turn your back on your eyes? That's the part that gets me. And that seems to be happening a lot lately with the younger ones. And I don't know if it came with the introduction of the crack, because a lot of things about family started to change when crack was introduced into the communities. And now you got meth going on, because I guess crack is too expensive. Um, and there's always going to be a new designer drug. There's always going to be one. But I think you as a parent need to decide whether male or female. And I've always said this, and this is what I teach my children, or taught my children. I'm a grandmother now, of 6. Um, you know, think about who you lay with. Cause I don't care how much protection you use, or that's being said is being used. You cannot stop nature. If there's going to be a reproduction of you, there's going to be a reproduction. There's nothing that you can do. You take the plan B, okay, that's all right. But why have to deal with the plan B when you can think about the person that you're laying with to begin with? Think about that. This could potentially, if you start looking at people like, oh, this could potentially be my baby daddy, or this could potentially be my baby mama, whether I want to or not, before you lay with them, then maybe the decisions on who you lay with would be different. Hmm. So
All
that's just my
right.
feelings on that. I don't know what y'all think about that.
Nah, again, I was like, yeah, well, like, yeah, all that is true though. It is. And shoot, hell, I know for me, it's like hell, I necessarily ain't had the experience to become a parent, and well, don't know when that's gonna happen. But right now, not saying that it's a overall, again, that's a deal break, again, overall a deal breaker, or not necessarily a deal breaker, but me, I'm just like, I gotta, I like maybe I just, again, just enjoy too much. I don't. It's like some freedom, but not necessarily freedom in the sense of, it's like, yeah, no, again, I don't have to worry about anything else other than me. Yes, I have bills to pay. We all do. Again, I have to be responsible for my health, my mental health, and all that occurs. And I think, again, like, like what Key was saying is that, again, hell, you even got some of these parents out here that, they get pregnant unintentionally just to get money from the government. Some of them. It's like they're not necessarily really deep committing like that, like they used to, not for survival purposes.
Hmm. Okay. So, do you think for both of y'all, do you think people should have children? Get married, start a family, and have children for survival purposes? Do you think they should do it out of love, or what do you think people should start a family for?
Yeah, hmm, you know, m- men do tend to, men and women's love is definitely different. It is not necessarily the same.
Hmm.
And I don't know if that sounds too yeah, I don't know if that's too degrading or that sounds just too
No, that's
harsh.
true.
But
That's true.
yeah, okay, cool. I appreciate that. But off the survival purposes, yeah. Well, again, that was pretty much, again, sort of, again, why the family diaspora, you know, s- originally started was, basically for survival purposes. I mean, yeah, you may have had a combination of love, but I don't think it may have been in the sense of love that neither side can give to one another, because hey, men and women operate different when it comes to love, and just certain aspects and things on life.
Hmm.
I mean, you even heard Chris Rock say in a stand up where people got on him, and where he says something about, there's three things men, I mean, not men, but women, that get more love, that women can give more love to than they men, was children, Yeah. They own children, dog, puppy, yeah, children, animals, and something else. Something like that. I don't want to misquote him, but and people got mad at that, and they was like, "Oh, I can't believe you said." And I'm like, "Well, apparently you must have been riled up in your feelings, because if it didn't apply, well then why are you not letting it fly?"
Mm, okay. What about you, Key? What do you think people should get married and start a family for?
Well, I think nowadays it's a little rare to even have that question because so many start families before they even get married.
Right.
And there are so many blended families nowadays. But I definitely think as a couple that um you should discuss that before you make everything permanent, like getting married and stuff. That should be part of the dating process discussions. When you're vetting whether or not that person is right for you. I don't think you should get married without knowing their stance on children, getting to know their children if they already have them, getting to know that family. Because when you're a blended family, the only way it's going to work is if the family is truly blended. Um, I don't like it. I was in a blended family growing up, and no matter what was going on between the baby daddies and the baby mamas, us as the children, we never knew. They always made a concerted effort to make sure we had sleepovers, birthday parties together, went to church together, whatever else. Had family outings together. Um, they made sure we knew each other growing up as children. If this one married that one married this one, or whatever, and had more children, they got wrapped in, with us as our siblings and not treated differently because I share a father with this one, but I share a mother with that one. I'm in the household with this one, but not in the household with that one. And I think that's where a lot of problems are too. There's too much infighting between adults that are put on the children, and that creates some type of feeling between the siblings that shouldn't be there because that's not their fault. That's not the children's fault. So a lot of that needs to be discussed during the dating phase. Now, if you don't have any of that, any previous children, um, discuss it. I mean, people change, changes, things change. But I don't see anything wrong with if you both come in and you're happy with where you are financially and you can afford it and you're stable. Um, Things happen because if you don't protect yourself, you can get pregnant on your wedding night. So I mean, it depends. It's up to the couple. Because some are ready to get into it right away. Maybe because of age. Maybe y'all didn't get married till you were 40. So you on time. And neither one of you had children. So you ready to jump out the gate with it because you have your career started. You have a home. You're ready. You have the
Right.
mentality. You have the time. But if you get married at 18 to 21, you don't have a career, you don't have a degree, you sleeping on mama's sofa bed,
Yeah.
then wait to have children till you can afford them, clothe them, and house them. And then it won't be a drain on the marriage, because it's a drain on the marriage enough if you get married and you sleeping on the sofa bed
Right.
in your in-laws.
Hmm.
So yeah, I guess that's the best advice I could give for that.
Right. Wait. You don't have to. Don't rush anything.
Yeah,
Because you
it's
gotta.
no rush.
Right. You. Because you. Okay. Say you might want a baby at 20, but then 30, you might not want a baby. You might not feel you're mentally or emotionally ready to deal with all of that. Things change as you have enough patience and time to think about things. And like you said, you want to get yourself together. You don't want to be bringing a life into this world and yours ain't together. It's a strain.
It's
Um,
an individual process, because
right.
you could be 35 and have the mentality of a 16-year-old.
Hmm.
Facts.
So, you know, should they really be a parent?
Right. That's true. That's
And I'm
very
not
Yeah,
true.
even
we should.
talking about medical issues that can pop up. And because, things like schizophrenia, that won't show till the late 20s.
Hmm.
Late between some medical issues won't even show themselves till the late 20s, early 30s. I know schizophrenia is one of them. I'm not sure about bipolar, but that can be part of schizophrenia. But then you got other factors that count. You can have postpartum. Every woman goes through postpartum after birthing a child, but some women have a predisposition to get stuck there. Actually, need counseling. They actually need counseling to get out of there. And if you have a disabled child or whatever else, that adds pressure to the relationship. So these are all things that, as an individual, whether male or female, that you have to think about. Even in my day, I was foolish, just betting and not thinking about this is 50, almost 50-year-old me having this discussion. But had you had the discussion with the 16-year-old me, I probably wouldn't have cared about all of that. I was just betting to be betting. I was hot in the draws. So, anything could have happened during that time. Up to, especially once I got, legal and could go and party and drink and have a good time. I had one night stands and could have woke up with a baby daddy that was terrible, and all of this stuff. But, 50-year-old me wants to tell, 16 and 20-year-old me, enjoy life. Enjoy life. See the world when you can, Corona. But see the world. Um, be careful dating now because of the Rona. You shouldn't be slopping spit with everybody. I didn't want to slop spit with my husband. I've been with him for like 14 years. Because of the Rona. But I'm just saying,
Yeah.
it's a different world, and every generation has its own set of problems and things that happen in the world, whether it be politically or socially, uh, environmentally, that it has to deal with. But try not to be foolish. Remember the past, because if you don't, you'll repeat it. If you grew up in a broken home where, maybe your parent was a drug addict or whatever, why would you want to recreate that for your offspring? Why would you even want to put them in that position? I would think you would be more cautious not to do that, but some aren't. Some turn around and use the exact same drugs that they saw their parents use. as an outlet to escape life. But there's no such thing as escaping life. No such thing. Soon as you sober up, it'll still be sitting there waiting on you. And it might even be worse than it was before. So
Mm,
that's my opinion on
okay. I could agree with that. Um, you got anything to add, Aaron? Because I'm gonna shut this down. It's been 3 hours.
Yeah, it's like, yeah. I'm like, dang, this has been a interesting convo here. And plus, again, I figured, again, I had to, again, come show you some love, even though I haven't been on this
it.
side
I
for a minute.
enjoyed this.
Me too.
And we should make
And
this a series.
Okay.
We
yeah,
should do this again. I will, yeah.
and
I'll
again,
just
and I
call
don't
me
know,
Lynn.
and I don't know, no, again, like how, wait, no, no, yeah, but not say that I care how I'm going to be viewed, or if I get, again, looked at a certain way, and it's like, all right, well, I'm gonna have to live with that.
Mhm.
But
But you know what? You say that, but you know what? We got you, who represents the golden. We got me, who represents the caramel or the mocha. And then we got Ella, which represents the dark. One, two, three, right in a row.
I
Of
like
the
that.
rainbow. Then we
Yeah,
got you, who represents the single male, who represents the single female, me, who represents the married female, but I'm also in an international interracial relationship. So I would be considered a swerve or a bedwitch by some. So I think this panel is as diverse as the discussion, and I think that's why I enjoyed it so much, because it wasn't a bunch of yelling, and there was a lot of viewpoints, and you can't like get upset for someone for their viewpoint on something. Um,
yeah.
like I said, I don't care what anybody thinks, and I don't think you should care. I think you should just be happy with you, and the only competition is what you see in the mirror. And if you happy with whom you see in the mirror, who cares what the rest of the world thinks? They're not paying you, they're not marrying you. Remember, you the male, so you got the upper hand. You choose who you marry. You propose. Don't let them get you down or put you in a point, put you someplace where you don't want to be. Walk away. Ignore it. Don't feed it energy. You know, make your own happiness. My grandmother used to say that a lot. Make your own happiness. And if more of us did that, then maybe the world wouldn't be such a miserable place.
Oh,
Right.
absolutely,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely.
Indeed. But I appreciate this talk with you guys. We could make this a series if if people like it and whatnot. I mean, I enjoyed it. Um, I would like to get back to more real topics because I find it very interesting and I like learning from other people as well. But appreciate you guys for coming up here and talking and giving your perspectives.
No
Um,
problem.
Oh yeah.
May I do it? May I do a quick commercial? I'm asking L. May I do a quick commercial?
sure.
Okay. Well, Aaron, since you're a gamer and you're a streamer, if you're looking to make, and there's anyone that's listening to us in the sound of my voice, whether it's live or on a replay, please look me up if you're looking to make anywhere upwards of 24,000 USD a month. Yes, I just said 24,000 a month. Yes, you have
Mhm.
the potential to make that. Okay, hit me up. Whether you're in the United States and Canada, that's one region I recruit for, and then I own my own talent agency for the UK and Ireland, and we can hook you up, okay? And you can come and make that money over on Bigo, because you have to have an agent, okay? So
Mhm.
let me know, especially you, Aaron, with the gaming and stuff. And, anybody that
Oh yeah.
we could have did this panel over there. This would have been a really good panel over there.
Right, and we still
Say,
could.
and you can have more people over there too. You can have up to 12 on your panel, include the
Mhm.
host. So you can have two more people, plus people in the chat, and make money at the same time. So hit me up. You can look on my channel. The video is the agency. You can hit me up through the business emails in my about section, or you can message me through WhatsApp. That's on the agency video too. It is free to call me or message me via WhatsApp. It's serious inquiries only, and I will hook you up. And it's at your pace, your quota. So if you don't want to put in the work to make 24K, but you just want to make you a couple extra thousand a month, let me know. Long, you don't have to go live every day if you don't want that 24K. If you just want to hit that milli quota, it's 8,000 for every million tier. Okay? So that's what I wanted to put out there. So thank you for allowing me to do the commercial.
No problem.
Hey, I
I
like
just
that
want my
commercial
people to
though.
succeed. So hit me up.
I well, definitely gonna check that out.
Yes. I was, testing out some things like, the gaming and everything. I just got to figure out how to take off the lag. But once I experiment and try some things out, I will definitely be taking the real talk panels and the gaming over there. I like it over there so far of what I've seen. So you should definitely check it out, Aaron, when you get the time.
All righty.
All right. Well, I
And
appreciate
what is it called again?
Bigo, Bigo.
Bigo. Oh, okay.
All right. Anyways, I appreciate you both for coming on, and I hope you guys have a great day. I'll see y'all around.
Thank you. Love you.
Thank
Love you
you.
too.